asked at the end of class yesterday, was there any fighting that actually took place on US soil? And the answer was no, not in World War I. And so a lot of historians feel like we really didn't even have any place going into World War I, but again, because we had these strong alliances with other countries, we were drawn into it, whether the masses really wanted it or not. So I don't know.
Were the red tails part of World War I or the World War II?
Red tails, that term applies to a couple of different.
Like the group of like the first group of black people that were flying planes.
That must be World War II.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm thinking of redcoats. Which would be the revolution. That would be the British and the Revolutionary War. Wrong red phrase there. Yeah, red tails would have been World War II, I believe. Although there were definitely some airplane warfare in World War I, but I think that the planes weren't advanced quite enough to really be fighter planes yet. World War II saw more of that. So the planes in World War I were mostly just used to like kind of basically as lookouts to see what was going on down below. So it's like strategic planes. Yesterday we talked a little bit about some specific problems that the United States faced during the war. And so after you copy these down, I want to just make like a little chart, and we'll list a few other specific ideas that you came up with. And for next week, just as a heads up, we're going to plan to have our test over chapter 10 and 11 next Friday. Okay, so, and that's assuming that we don't have any more snow days, because if we do, that'll set us back, so we'll have to push it forward to the following week. But if we have a regular school schedule, we'll plan on next Friday, and of course I'll give you a study guide just like I normally do.
Yeah, we're supposed to be getting a lot of snow next week, so.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I thought the snow's starting to calm down, since it's gonna be like rainy today.
No, today's supposed to snow.
I heard rain.
Saturday's gonna rain.
Yeah, I heard
rain
Really?
And then Tuesday is a snowstorm.
Cause tonight it's supposed to snow like 1 degree, I think.
I mean, it's kinda gonna be freezing rain, but.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hard to say. Something that I want to point out is that the war officially ended on the Armistice Day. And again, an armistice is just a peace agreement. Germany agrees to stop fighting. At this point, they've really been crushed pretty badly by the Allies. And the specific date is November 11th, 1918. And why is that date significant in history? Well, yes, it is, yeah, it is. It's 11/11. Why else, though? What do we celebrate on November 11th? Many times.
Is it Thanksgiving or is that too early?
No, Thanksgiving is later on in November. Yeah, Veterans Day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember if Veterans Day is always on November 11th or if it changes from year to year. I know some holidays do that, but I think that it is. I'm going to consult the calendar here. Yeah, it's always on November 11th. We mentioned yesterday the number of deaths or casualties from World War I, and so the casualties are the total number of people that died, including soldiers, but also including civilians. And 26 million, so if you think about how many people that is realistically, does anybody know the population of New York City or Chicago? No, not sure. What about Fort Wayne? I think Fort Wayne has around 300,000, maybe. I think that probably at this time, in around 1918, the United States population, I looked it up the other day, might have been, I don't know, but it was a huge chunk of the United States population, if we were to look at it in that way. But each country that was involved, especially Russia, who lost around 9 million people, I think it was like 1% of their entire population, maybe 2%. It's a very large number, actually. Okay, so we talked about some problems that the United States faced specifically. Obviously, with all wars, there are certain problems like disease and death and things like that, and costly weapons and things like that. But what specifically about the United States was difficult during World War I? Let's make a little list up here. I'm going to erase this side. Specific from your diagram. Something just specific to the United States that we had to deal with. I saw a lot of good pictures as I was walking around. Yeah, Matt?
They were on like familiar land.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the notes I mentioned that they were fighting over there. We weren't fighting on our own soil. And so in a way that put us at an advantage because we didn't have to fight on our own soil, right? We didn't have to destroy our own resources here at home. We didn't have to destroy our own land. We didn't have to have, our kids watching, fighting going on or anything like that. However, it would have been a disadvantage for us initially. Why? Yes? Hi, Marnie. Yeah, Polly?
Fighting on foreign land, you don't know like the geographics of the land, so
Yes.
you don't know how you can use it to your advantage. So like if there were mountains, you could be outside and so
Right.
it would be a disadvantage.
Yeah. The disadvantage is not knowing, right, the terrain of where you are, not knowing what natural blockades exist, not knowing what man-made blockades exist, not knowing the language. A lot of the fighting took place in France, and so that would have been difficult. They certainly had a lot of preparation to do, a lot of learning to do. Okay. Then also there was just the cost of going over there initially. Getting all of the ships over there, all of the supplies. Yesterday we talked about the convoy system. The ships provided a blockade for other ships to go over as a ship bundle so that they weren't attacked by the U-boats. Okay, good. What was another specific United States problem? Aaron, what were you going to say?
We were ill-equipped.
Yeah, we were ill-equipped, exactly.
'Cause I remember reading that some soldiers had to use rocks instead of grenades.
Yeah, well, when they were practicing,
instead of
yeah,
rifles.
when the soldiers were training, they had to have them use rocks as grenade and sticks as guns, and yeah, exactly. They didn't yet have that equipment made. So this cost the United States, I'm sure, millions of dollars to make all of this equipment. And then they also talked about the ships. They really had to give a lot of government money to the construction of ships. What other problems did we have, either in preparation for the war or actually during the war?
Like when we started, our Air Corps was really small.
Our Air Force, so you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. Good. What else? What problems did we have with our citizens? What psychological problems maybe did we have with World War I, Aaron?
I'm not sure if this has to do with it, but it's like, quite a few of our soldiers were inexperienced.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So we would have, so if our soldiers were inexperienced, then psychologically we would have had to deal with, you know, kind of uncertainty on the part of our soldiers, maybe even an unwillingness to go to war. If they didn't feel like they were prepared, they might have, you know, they always talk about morale, right, in the Army. What does morale mean? We've talked about having morale here at the school. What is that, Olivia?
Like together, all believing in yourselves and like being a tight group together.
Yeah, having a sense of pride and support with the group, and you know, being happy about the cause that you're fighting for, or you know, your goals. Mm-hmm. Holly.
Well, fighting in the war probably it still causes a lot of soldiers PTSD and stuff. You know,
Yes.
a lot of soldiers probably had to deal with that when they
Yeah.
come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll just put, you know, there's a feeling of uncertainty about, being prepared, for the war itself. And feelings of, or actual trauma after the war then. Yeah, so we have this disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, so a feeling of emotional trauma after having gone through something extremely harrowing, like being in war. This is an actual diagnosable condition, and a lot of soldiers face this. And you would. Okay, good, so that's a pretty good list here. Anything else that anybody want to add? Yeah, Maddie?
Well, to kind of go with what we just said, like
Yeah.
the draft, people may have not wanted to go since they were forced to go.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything else? Yep, Marnie?
There was a lot of disease, not only like in a foreign country, but then even at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of disease, yeah. We mentioned yesterday that, and the disease would apply to all of the countries in the war. But yes, we did certainly face that as well. And we said that half of the people that died, half of the 26 million, died solely from disease. So they might have not even been, you know, part of the war itself as far as being like on the battlefield. But yeah, certainly. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is something that could relate directly to this, fighting on foreign lands. Americans probably would have been a little bit more susceptible to contracting diseases, just because we were in a foreign land. So our immune systems wouldn't have been as equipped to deal with some of these foreign, antibodies and things like that, whereas maybe the people having lived, over in Europe, who knows? Maybe they would have been more shielded against some of these diseases, so that could certainly be. Okay, anything else? All right. Good, okay. Well, for Monday then, let's have you get started on section 3. And for people who came in late, next week on Friday, we'll have our test over chapters 10 and 11. And just as a little reminder for you, chapter 10 was mostly about the lead up to World War I, mostly talking about imperialism, right? The expansion of one country's domain over other countries, basically. So that was really the main cause of World War I, was imperialism, combined with nationalism and militarism, which we talked about the other day. Okay, all right, go ahead, you can take some time to work on that.